In this tutorial, we will create our Struts to CRUD or create, read, update, and delete insurance agent administration project structure using the Maven WAR or Web Archetype with the help of Eclipse. For my YouTube students, there will be a link in the description to my Udemy course where you will be able to download the source code for all the examples. Where all of our previous Struts 2 examples use the Eclipse web application profile project structure with our dependent jar files stored in the webinf lib directory that we had to manually download and install, we will now take our first step towards embracing best practices. We will use the Maven configuration management tool to manage these jar dependencies for us. Eclipse comes with a great set of built-in tools that works with Maven. You will find some great free Maven courses available on Udemy or on YouTube. These are the high-level steps we will take. First, we will create our insurance administration application from the Maven WAR archetype. When we do this, we will set up an Eclipse repository for the latest Maven WAR archetype. Once our WAR project has been created for us from the Maven archetype, we will update the generated web.xml to version 3.1. Then we will test the Maven created web application by running it. Before we jump into Eclipse, let's have a look at the Maven WAR archetype official website. Here we can see that the Maven archetype web app is an archetype which generates a sample Maven web app project. And it gives us the directory structure of the generated web app project. And it also gives us how to use the command line to generate this project for us. We will run this command inside of Eclipse. Okay, so here we are. Let's create our Maven web application. We are going to select File, New, Maven Project. Here we will keep all the defaults. Here we're going to keep all catalogs, and we are going to look for the Maven web app archetype. We'll select Next, and we'll fill in some details here. And select Finish. Now we immediately see it's got some problems, and usually this means that the target of Tomcat needs to be set. So we'll do that. We'll select the targeted runtime of Apache Tomcat 8.5, line close. So let's just run this basic generated web application. Run on server. And that looks good. Now let's just revisit the Maven settings. This is where you set up and configure the embedded version of Maven. This is where you can add or remove Maven archetype catalogs. And if you don't have the Maven WAR archetype available, I have to add the repository where it's downloaded from. Then you have the discovery, errors and warnings. In installation, we see that we are using embedded version. In Java EE integration, we see everything is selected. Here we see the lifecycle mapping setup, source lookup, templates, user interface, and user settings is another important one. This is your local Maven repo, and this is actually where Maven stores all the jars that it downloads. Under user settings, there is a settings XML file. And now this is what you usually use when you actually download and install Maven. So that is the overview of all the Maven options. So remember that if you want to add an archetype, this is where you have to do it. Going back to our generated web app, let's just fix some of this. We are on Java version 8. That looks good. And let's change our 2.3 servlet specification to a later version. I'll just cut and paste. That should take care of the later version. First, let's run it again just to make sure it works. That looks good. Now that we've manually updated the POM file and our web.xml, we actually need to match our Eclipse project facet to version 3.1 as well. And for that, we need to do some kind of workaround. Let's see, we do properties, we select project facet 3.1, and it says cannot change version of project facet. So what we'll basically do with this workaround is we'll uncheck this, click apply and close, and then we go to our project structure, we right click, we select Maven and update project. We say OK, and now we can see that our project facet has been updated to version 3.1. So properties, here we have our project facet updated to 3.1. We can run it again. Now we have our basic Maven web application generated project structure, and we had to manually go and update our Java version and our servlet specification version. And that concludes our Maven web project generation tutorial.